well, this year, a new day, a new month. Look at that. It is March already, but it's also a year of special celebration for a wonderful organisation called International Needs. Joining me on the program is Tauranga-based Executive Director of International Needs, Shaun Sutcliffe. Shaun, kia ora. Wonderful to chat with you again. Welcome to the program.
Kia ora. Good morning, Andrew, and welcome to the first day of autumn.
Yeah, exactly. Doesn't quite feel like it yet, which I'm grateful
Not yet.
for. Yeah. Hey, can you explain for the folks at home, if you like, because international needs, there's many different aspects by it, but I think one of the thing that is perhaps the most intriguing is this is an international organisation with distinctive Kiwi roots. In some ways, it's a local organisation which has international impact. Can you explain how that Kiwi connection works, Shaun?
Yeah, absolutely. So, and that's a great way to describe it, Andrew, is that it's a local organisation initiated here in New Zealand, and it will be 50 years this year.
Hmm.
So it started in 1974 by New Zealander Ray Harrison. And it started out of his church in Wellington, which was originally called Elizabeth Street Chapel, and now it's called the Street Church out of Wellington. And we still have great relationships and partnerships with that church, plus many others around the country, who over the last 50 years have connected with international needs in a partnership where we connect with local indigenous Christians around the world. We're now in over 36 countries. Not each country is an international needs office, but it's still supported through international needs. And the way we do this work is that we connect with local indigenous Christian leaders, out working through the indigenous church to provide for the needs of the community. And by providing for that needs gives those churches and those national workers an opportunity to share the gospel. And that's always been the heartbeat of international needs, is that, they go out supporting and developing leaders so that the gospel can be shared in their own countries, in their own language, in their own cultural context, so that their communities can be influenced in a holistic approach, both spiritually and physically.
In terms of the countries that you work in, if you had a map of the world, and I've seen this on your website, a map of the world, and hey, these are the countries that International Needs have partnerships with. What sort of spread are we talking here? What parts of the world do you guys have a connection with?
We've got a spread literally from the Pacific Islands all the way around and across. Not every single country. So we've got connections in South America through Guatemala, Colombia, and Dominican Republic.
Mm-hmm.
Then into Eastern Europe, where we had an amazing response to the refugee crisis from Ukraine a couple of years ago. And then into Africa through the Middle East, Turkey and Egypt, Ethiopia, Central Africa with Ghana, Burkina Faso, Uganda, Kenya, and Zambia. It just keeps spreading.
Yeah.
Into India, Nepal, Bangladesh, across into Southeast Asia, in Cambodia, Myanmar, Vietnam, Papua New Guinea, Philippines, Bougainville, of all the smallest little islands out there.
Yeah.
And then we have a network of support partners. And so these are the partners that are actually out there trying to raise the support for the Indigenous work.
Mm-hmm.
Look, our goal, we've been here for 50 years and we've been able to grow this network to this size. The goal for the next 50 years is let's see how much further we can grow it.
Yeah.
There are many more nations out there that need the gospel, many more unreached people groups, and in the most hard to reach places where our people are best positioned to go out to. So, yeah, the focus is to grow the network, but in order to do that, we need the support of our New Zealanders and around the world to grow to do that.
Now, in terms of this specific work that you do, I suppose this is part of the nature of international needs. It depends on the local need. So you're working with local partners, you're working with Indigenous communities and Indigenous churches. So the sort of work that you do in Zambia may be very different than what you do in Burkina Faso because the local needs are different. Would that be an accurate way of describing it?
Yeah, absolutely. And the same across the globe. So while some organizations are specifically known for one particular niche market,
Mm-hmm.
we kind of can't necessarily define that niche. I think what International Needs is in New Zealand is renowned for is obviously supporting the gospel work, but then we're very proudly supporting education because we believe that the way to break generational poverty, but also to break the bondage of poverty of a poverty mindset is to actually through education. So we start with educating children. We're one of the only few organizations that actually then provide tertiary support for those kids when they finish school.
Yeah.
Because what we don't want is a child to go through school and they're still sitting on the brick heaps in Bangladesh crushing them. We actually want them to go through a tertiary scholarship or an opportunity to further their studies so that they can actually do something else that they want to have with their lives and fulfill their dreams. And then understanding the local need within that particular country as well. So we do support a lot of kids through our education programs, and then also expanding that into livelihood programming. So, looking at the villages and saying, well, how do we now help the women in this village? How do we bring gender equality into these areas as well? And so, but each country is different.
Yeah.
Our work in Zambia is heavily focused on farming and providing for food, whereas Burkina Faso is education and health.
Yep.
And so it's, every country is different. And hence why we sort of have that phrase, well, it's an international need.
Yep.
What's your need? And how can we support that need?
No, very good indeed. And I love the way it works through the Indigenous church. So it really is an opportunity as well to meet practical needs, but also spiritual needs in that regard. Now, this year, as you mentioned, a special celebration, Jubilee year for the organisation, and the nations are coming to New Zealand to celebrate this. And hey, you're the guy that's got to organise an international conference for international needs in Rotorua. Busy times
Absolutely.
for you, Shaun, I imagine.
Yeah, I think another checkbox on my CV is going to be international conference coordinator. I don't think I'd actually be a conference coordinator in my life. I think my skill sets are elsewhere. But yes, we have over 70 to 80 international guests arriving into New Zealand in Rotorua. Look at Rotorua. We are coming to invade with 70 people from across the globe meeting for one whole week in Rotorua to celebrate our 50th anniversary. The week is going to be full of meetings with our Congress. With our participants, and then we're having a celebratory dinner to finish it off. But before that, we also do have what we call a partner expo. So for anybody in the neighbourhood that would like to see some of the work that these people are involved in, we are having a expo at the Novotel Hotel on Friday, the 3rd of May, between 4 p.m. and 6 p.m. And so you can come meet some of the people from around the world, see the work that they're involved in, and just hear some of the stories. And look, that's going to be open to anybody and everybody.
This is a wonderful opportunity to see what God is doing in so many different countries and to be able to partner with that. Just before we go, you talked a little bit about some of the challenges ahead for the organisation. To use a good cricketing metaphor, half century, but you don't want to rest on your laurels, and lots of more opportunities than there is resources to be able to meet those needs. I understand a particular challenge that you're putting forward this year, a million for a million. Tell us a bit about that, Shaun.
Yeah, look, this is just a sneak preview. We haven't officially launched this campaign.
Okay, sorry if I jumped the gun on this.
That's okay. We haven't had an official launch. That's going to be happening at our conference. However, we sort of look back and we said we're celebrating God's faithfulness and God's goodness and His provision to this organization over the last 50 years, being birthed out of little old New Zealand in the 70s to now spreading across 36 nations across the world. And it's a great milestone to celebrate, and especially for something that's birthed out of New Zealand as well. We're now looking ahead to go, well, what does the next 50 years look like? And when we went out to our partners, the heartbeat and the vision for them is still the first and foremost that the gospel needs to be preached. And we said, well, if we could write you a blank check, how many people do you think in your communities and in your networks you could reach with the gospel? And when we did the tally, it was an overwhelming just over 1 million people through the International Needs Network alone. And that's within a 12 to 18 month period. And as that grows, then you see the multiplication factor. So as they disciple their villages or their communities, well, the calling on those people's lives, as we all have been called, is to then go and disciple more people. So we see a multiplication effect happening after that. However, when we ask them what the need is, they've said, well, we need Bibles. We have an urgent cry from our pastors in Papua New Guinea. They distributed over 400 Bibles in the last 3 months, and they've run out.
Yeah.
And so we need to give them more Bibles. They need transportation, so motorcycles. And this is just this all of our partners. They need resources, gospel tracts. Some of them like to show the Jesus film because, they share the gospel in an appropriate way to their culture, not necessarily our way.
Sure.
It's their way, and we've got to respect that. And so when we looked at it going, well, how much money do we need to actually provide so that 1 million people can be reached? And the answer was just over $1.3 million.
Okay.
So we've come up with a campaign that we're launching this year. It's a very big, bold, ambitious campaign. And when I got challenged on it, I said, you're not limiting Shaun, you're limiting God here. And God can't be limited. So I've said the same, going, you can't put a limit on what God can do. And so I'm praying that I'm fulfilling a vision that He's given us here in New Zealand. And we are launching our Million for a Million campaign. I don't know if that's going to be clear on the picture here.
Vaguely seeing that. It's blurry
Probably
on the
not
edges,
that clear.
but yeah, exactly.
Very blurry.
Yeah.
But this will be coming to a TV screen near you. For the viewers on Shine, we'll be having a few TV ads, a mini documentary series about the work of International Needs, our gospel workers and churches that we support, and ways that New Zealanders can get behind this. And look, doing the math, it might seem ambitious, but in all reality, $1 million is nothing nowadays.
And exactly. And if you're reaching like an average of 1 million people a year for Jesus, and with the exponential growth that comes from that, I mean, that's an exciting thing to be investing in. Shaun, hey, very much look forward to hearing more from the conference and from the delegates that are involved with that. Thank you so much for the work that you do. Thanks for taking the time to chat with us. If people wanted to find out more, just briefly, if they wanted to find out more, now the campaign's not quite launched yet, but they can find out more about the organisation and the conference coming up. What's the best way of doing that?
Yeah, look, the best way is go onto our website, which is www.innz.org.nz. Alternatively, you can give our office a call, which is 0800 46 337. But if you go to the website or go to our Facebook page, send us a message. We'd love to respond and connect with you.
Well, hey, thank you so much for the work you do. Thanks for your time today, Shaun.
Thanks for joining us on Rhema. Now, if you found value in today's content, hit that like button. And if you haven't already, consider subscribing to our channel with the subscribe button. This really helps us to continue to produce more quality content for you. And hey, if you'd like to stay updated and never miss any of our future videos, ring that notification bell as well. Don't forget to follow us on our other socials, which are in the description below. And until then, stay tuned.